Have you seen these Hot Pocket recipes that seem to be going viral at the moment?
They have a lot of 29 grams of protein.
I've been noticing them nonstop on my social media. A lot of people are like recreating them and they just look so scrumptiddlyumptious that I also have to try making them, testing them, seeing if the macros fit the recipes as they say, to see if they're as easy as they claim to be. So we're going to follow the instructions that they give in the videos. The first little Hot Pocket recipe we're going to start off with is the high protein chili cheese balls. So it claims that it has 324 calories, 29 grams of protein, 40 grams of carb, and 6 grams of fat. So to start off making the dough, you'll start by mixing 400 grams of plain flour, 410 grams of Greek yogurt, and then I also just added some herbs because the other recipe said to add some herbs, so it wasn't what it said in this recipe, but I just took inspiration from the other ones. So I added a little bit of garlic powder, onion powder, and some herbs. With the dough, you'll knead it into a dough ball and then you'll divide it into 8 balls. And then I just set it aside for a second because now we have to make the filling. So I have some mince. Now to a pan, you'll add your beef until it is crispy seared. Mince it up and let it brown. I had the wrong one switched on. Yeah, I don't know, just cook the mince. Add 1 packet of fajita seasoning. You're supposed to put in a fajita sachet, but I could only find burrito. So for the herbs, we'll use some onion and garlic seasoning, and I was also thinking of putting some chili flakes in because it's supposed to be chili cheese, even though nothing really has any chili in it. But maybe this is more based off of like the American version of like chili, which gives me like chili con carne vibes, but I don't think it's the same thing. But that's the idea I think we're going with. So we added some burrito seasoning. I didn't add the whole packet because I also didn't have the same measurements of mince, but I just added what I thought looked good. And then we want to add 30 grams of some low-fat cream cheese. And then you just mix it up until it's all mixed and then just set it to the side. Now flatten out your dough balls. I don't know if this one's too big. I don't know, it's like the size of my face. Well, I mean, not really, because that's a small face. Then add 1/8 of chili cheese beef mix. I just added however much I thought. By adding 20 grams of low-fat cheese, I didn't measure, I just stuck whatever amount of cheese in I thought would look good. Because they're not that big, like when you flatten out the dough balls, you just kind of like, oh, yep, that's good. You know? Gently fold in the sides to form a ball and pat and roll until it is sealed and press down gently. Okay, so we have the first little pocket, although I'm not so confident. I feel like here it has a tiny little hole in it. That's one. Now add them into a fry pan, cooking on a low heat for 6 minutes until it's cooked. Definitely wasn't as satisfying. The cheese didn't really melt. The bread to meat to cheese ratio isn't so bad. It tastes like a taco or a burrito or something, but it just tastes like the meat with some bread. The bread consistency is really nice. So I feel like the burrito seasoning is kind of just taking over all of it and it's really thick. I need some sauce. I think putting it with some quark. I love this shit. I feel like I eat it with everything at the moment. I feel like it would taste really good with some salsa as well, to be fair. So no, I'm still missing something. Unfortunately, because I think the flour and it was just so thick and hard to flatten out and everything, it just ended up not cooking so well through the whole thing. Also, I felt with these ones, in the video, it looked so delicious when they're like squeezing out the juices and everything like that, you know, the cheese and everything. But when I was eating them, it was kind of missing something. It was very heavy and just gluggy. I don't know how to, it's like the flavors didn't go as well as I had hoped. Like you kind of need like some salsa and maybe some sour cream or something, you know, like you need something light and fresh and maybe a bit zingy. It was just very gluggy. It was very sludgy. I didn't enjoy them, that's for sure. You definitely needed like some dipping sauce or something like that. So for 8 pockets, individual 1 pocket of the 8. They had 324 calories and I got 350 calories, so it's not that much of a difference. So for carbs, they said 40 grams of carbs and I got 43, so that's also pretty close. For the fats, they said 6 grams of fats and I got 9, so again, pretty close. And for the protein, they said 29 grams of protein and I got 22 grams of protein, so still close, but still missing 5 grams of protein. As to why, it was probably just the beef quality. I don't know, maybe they had like extra lean beef or something like that. I mean, I think the beef that I was using wasn't that fatty. Well, obviously, because the fats aren't that high. So this one was very close to what it was claiming, so I'm not going to fault it too much. And 1 or 2 calories and 1 or 2 grams here or there is like nothing really at all. So this was very close. Like these ones I wasn't too impressed by with the final result. It was definitely disappointing. We have the high protein pepperoni pizza pocket. That is a mouthful. I've seen this recreated a few times.
And you can store this in the freezer.
So the macros that it claims is it has 29 grams of carbs, 6 grams of fat, and 25 grams of protein per pizza pocket. To recreate this, you will need 410 grams of low-fat Greek yogurt, 400 grams of plain all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, Italian herbs and seasoning. Mix it until you have a crumbling texture and start kneading it with your hands to form a dough ball. Like if the dough is sticky, just add a little bit more flour until it starts sticking together and creating a dough ball. Now cut the dough into 8 equal balls. One by one, flatten them out as thin as you can. Then add 20 grams of sliced mini pepperonis, 15 grams of pizza sauce, 20 grams of low-fat cheese. I didn't measure any of my ingredients out. I kind of just stuck in, and I also layered it. So I think that you shouldn't layer it. We will see why once I start cooking. Start by pinching the sides and pull them into the middle. Flip it over and press on it gently. Yeah, I was just kind of putting it into a ball and rolling it around. I didn't flip it over and press on it. I was just making it with my hands. Then, once you have all of the balls made, you cook them on a low to medium heat to 4 to 6 minutes on each side with the lid on until golden brown and crispy. So I actually ended up making these 2 times because the flour that I used first, it just didn't. Can you see this? Mix very well for one, and then also when I was cooking them, it just didn't cook at all. I mean, at least the cheese is melted, right? Maybe also I had the heat on too high. I don't know. Maybe lots of maybe baby bad things.
Maybe baby.
Like still really raw. Like it didn't cook the dough here as well, because the flour on the first stage is really, it didn't cook well, it didn't flatten out well, it just didn't do anything well. I don't know, I just assumed that all flour was the same. It didn't really work, so I think you definitely need white flour. You can't use any other type of wholemeal or whatever flour. Learn from my mistakes, please. We gave it another shot the next day. I went and got a different type of flour and did the recipe the same. 400 grams of plain flour, Greek yogurt, and mix it until you have a crumbling texture. And I have to say, this is already so much easier than yesterday. Like, I can do this in my hand so easily. 15 grams of pizza sauce, 20 grams of sliced mini pepperonis, low-fat cheese. I also layered it. Pizza sauce, low-fat cheese, sliced mini pepperonis. By pinching the sides and pull them into the middle, putting it into a ball and rolling it around. Cute! It looks much better than yesterday, so that's already feeling like a success.
Great success.
You cook them on a low to medium heat to 4 to 6 minutes on each side. Ooh. Yeah, this was the one that I didn't chop. You definitely need to chop the salami before you put it in there. I'm kind of scared to eat it because it looks so hot. The one that I didn't cut, it was very dangerous, especially when it's hot. So definitely cut them. Don't skip on that step. Don't be lazy. Don't be like me. Pizza pockets tasted so fucking good. Everything about them, all of the flavors went so well together. But I mean, whenever you have these pizza flavors like pepperoni, cheese, and pizza sauce, always the flavors go really well together. Both times I made it, even with the wrong flour, they still tasted good. It just unfortunately that the flour didn't cook so well, and then it just made me feel a bit sick eating it. raw dough. Yeah, so I wouldn't recommend that. The next day when I made them, they were really, really good. Also, when I was flattening them out, flattened out so much easier, and it was such a nicer consistency. Yeah, everything just worked so much better. It still did leak out a little bit the next day. Afterwards, I rewatched the videos and I realized that you weren't supposed to put 2 times sauce.
A turkey pepperoni and fold up the sides.
I was just thinking that there's a lot of dough, and your sauce to dough ratio, it needed more, and it tasted good, so it worked, but at the same time it wasn't easy to cook and turn and flip and do all of that stuff. They said that they had 280 calories per serving. I got 268 calories per serving, so less, which is good.
We got to do a little math here because he divided this into 8 equal pieces.
For the carbs, they said they had 29. I had 42 grams of carbs. It's a bit of a difference. For the fats, they said they had 6 grams of fats, and I got 4 grams of fat, so less fat. And then for the protein, they said they had 25 grams of protein, and I only got 13 grams of protein. So again, that's a difference of 12 grams, which is quite a bit of protein difference. So maybe it matters what meat you're using and what cheese you're using.
To right around 350 calories and 20 grams of protein. I believe the discrepancy is due to the pepperoni because he said 20 grams of sliced mini pepperoni per little thing, and then he says can be substituted for turkey pepperoni. I think he did use turkey pepperoni because this would not only bring down the calories, this would bring up the protein.
So calorie wise it's pretty close, but macro wise it's not that close at all. Okay, so then I found, it's not a pizza pocket, but it is kind of like a pocket full of high protein deliciousness. It's not a hot pocket in a sense, but it is still a pocket of some sort. So I thought these looked really, really good and I wanted to give them a try.
Enjoy, my friend.
98 calorie crispy buffalo chicken pockets. For this video, he claims that 10 pockets was 932 calories, 11 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fat, and 213 grams of protein. 213 grams of protein, that's more than my daily requirement of protein, so I'm guessing that you're sharing with this recipe, or maybe not. Maybe you want to eat them all for yourself. I don't know. I'm not here to judge. But for each little individual pocket, it is 98 calories, 8 grams of carbs, 2 grams of fat, and 12 grams of protein. To make the buffalo chicken pizza pockets, you will need 24 ounces of chicken tenders. So 24 ounces of chicken breast apparently is 680 grams of chicken. Well, it doesn't say chicken, but apparently 24 ounces is 680 grams. So I don't know. I don't think you need that much. But maybe you just want to do it. So first you're going to start off by cooking up your chicken tenders and chop them into small pieces. I shredded them with a fork. I thought it would give a nicer texture and end result. We're going to make the sauce now. So in a little blender thingy, add 113 grams Doesn't smell good. of fat-free cottage cheese. So I've already stuffed up. I have no more yogurt, and you're supposed to put yogurt in there, so... Okay, so I couldn't find any yogurt, but I do have some quark, so let's just use some of that. 113 grams of Frank's Red Hot buffalo sauce. So we have our shredded chicken and our sauce. I think we have too much sauce for the chicken, so I'm just going to put on a little bit. And I have to say that this fucking smelled so bad. I just couldn't, like... It looks really good though, like super velvet sauce. And then give it a little mix. All right, I can see we can already add more. I really don't like the smell of it, but maybe once it's cooked, it will taste good. Oh, shiza. In a separate bowl, add 10 grams of all-purpose flour and water. This will act as a glue. I think I need more flour. We got the best amount of flour now. How do you just fuck up the glue, man? Like, now it's like hella lumpy and watery and yeah, like look, you can see it's like got so many, like this isn't really even a main part of the dish and somehow I've fucked it up. I'm just gonna do it because it feels like a glue. We have these wraps. Slice the tortillas in half and then you have to fold it and make it look like a bit of a cone. So he also gives a demonstration in the video and says this is how you should fold it. So, but unfortunately because I was using gluten-free tortillas, they weren't folding like normal tortillas. They were kind of breaking in half. but it still worked, okay? So we could still follow. Add some glue mixture to seal the tortillas. Use the flour glue on the folds to seal the tortilla and it should make a cone. It's actually working. Just have to wait for the glue to dry and then we will fill them.
A few minutes later.
Add the buffalo mixture. I added some cheese to sprinkle, and then add some of the flour glue to the top and press with the fork to seal it all together. So I filled them way too much and they didn't really close, so that's my bad. I have to say I don't feel that confident, but let's put it in the air fryer at 200 degrees Celsius for 4 to 5 minutes or until golden brown. So they actually don't look too bad. It didn't seal, but it did like hold the corners. I really don't like the smell of it. It stinks. I don't really like it. Yeah, I mean, this recipe looked amazing, but I don't know, it didn't taste very good. The smell was really off. I don't know if it was the sauce. It was the first time me ever trying this sauce. It's okay. It just has a tang in it that doesn't taste good. Also maybe the cheese, but I don't know, something about the combination of them I wasn't too into personally. Doesn't mean that someone else won't find it nice. I think that it's a lot of effort into something that's not that great, in my opinion. I probably wouldn't recommend it. I feel like if you did like this but made it more of like pizza pocket or like mushrooms and the cream cheesy sauce with the chicken could be good, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that this really works. But the crispiness of the wrap is really nice. It has a really nice crunch to it. If I didn't put the cheese in it, it would be terrible. So definitely adding the cheese into it was a good choice. They actually had a total of everything all together for them. So I had a total as well. For this, they had for the whole batch, it was 932 calories. I got 1,839 calories. For the carbs, they had 11 carbs. I got 137 grams of carbs. For fats, they had 4 grams of fat and I had 39 grams of fat. I mean, 9 grams of fat for that whole thing is quite surprising, to be honest, but yeah. Anyway, 213 grams of protein and I had 207 grams. My reasoning as to why the calories were so high and why the carbs were so high was just the wraps, simply because I used gluten-free wraps, and in this they specify that you need low carb tortillas and I just used gluten-free ones. I didn't look for low carb anything. Yeah, definitely makes a difference. And then the next Hot Pocket recipe we tried was the high protein breakfast pocket. It's not a pizza pocket. The high protein breakfast Hot Pocket. So this recipe claims that it has per pizza. Why do I keep saying pizza?
I'm obsessed.
I must be obsessed with the pizza one because I just keep saying pizza pocket, but maybe just because it sounds better. Pizza pocket. Yeah, so the macros for the high protein breakfast Hot Pocket says that it has 328 calories per serving, 29.5 grams of carb, 8 grams of fat, and 32 grams of protein. To make the breakfast Hot Pockets, you will start off by cooking 120 grams of bacon, diced. In my case, pulled bacon, 6 eggs with 150 grams of egg whites or 8 regular eggs. Now you cook your eggs on a low to medium heat, mixing it gently every minute, but I think we all know how to make scrambled eggs, right? Like you don't need step-by-step instructions on how to make scrambled eggs. Set it to the side. For the dough balls, you'll simply start by mixing 400 grams of plain flour and 420 grams of low-fat yogurt. Add your herbs, the onion and garlic powder, then mix until you have a crumbly texture. Flour your hands and knead it until it is a dough ball. Now cut the dough ball into 8 equal balls. Down a little bit of flour first, then flatten out until it is as thin as possible. Add some bacon, eggs, low-fat cheese, and then use your fingers to pinch the sides up towards the middle and seal. Flip and flatten gently. Once they are all flattened and sealed, cook on low to medium heat for 5 to 6 minutes on each side with the lid on top until golden brown and crispy. So like these turned out really good. They cooked really well. Everything about them was cooked perfectly. But in my opinion, they were very flavorless. I don't know. I thought that they were like a little bit boring and it just tastes like breakfast. It was very bland. I didn't really enjoy eating it. In the video, he has a pizza sauce that he dips the Hot Pockets into, and I think that this is missing some sort of sauce. I looked for the dipping sauce, but I couldn't find the recipe for it. So I don't think, even though he's using it in the video, it's not in the macros and it's not in the recipe. So you can make them, but I think at the end of the day, it's a lot of effort for something that tastes very basic. So this works, and I think if you pre-made them and then you wanted to just like heat them up and eat them on your way to work or something along those lines, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it would taste any good heated up either, to be honest, because it wasn't that good the first time round, so why would it be that good the second time round? They claimed that the macros were, per Pizza Pocket, they said, so per Hot Pocket, they said 328 calories. When I did the macros, it got 358 calories, so not that big of a difference. 29.5 grams of carbs. I got 42 grams of carbs, so a little bit more. I had 11 grams of fat. They said 9. It's not that big of a difference, really. 2 grams. Wait, yeah. For the protein, they said 32 grams of protein, and I got 21. So it is a little bit of a difference. When I did the macros for them, I just matched the ingredients that I used to the measurements that they had. So what I did is, for the whole recipe, I just added it all up and divided it by 8, and that's how I did it. I didn't do the exact measurements that I did because I didn't actually weigh anything the day that I was doing the video. I didn't cook 8. I only cooked 2. But if you were to make 8, like the recipe says, you know. I don't really know what would have made the extra 10 grams of protein. Maybe it was the bacon, like maybe because they do specify that you need shortcut bacon, and I just used bacon. Maybe you need to have shortcut bacon to have the same amount of protein in it, because yeah, 10 grams is it's a bit of a difference, you know, like 10 grams is quite a amount of protein to be missing per serving. But they're super cute. It works. I think out of all of them, this one worked the best, but the best tasting one is definitely the pizza one. But you can also see that the dough has just soaked in all of the flavors as well. Definitely, if you want to give them a go, do the Pizza Pocket one. They were all kind of good in their own way, but at the same time, they all lacked something, and I can't tell you what that something is. I think it was a sauce. Yeah, they all lacked the sauce except for the Pizza Pocket, because I put too much sauce in the Pizza Pocket. Yeah, and then the chili cheese one needed tang. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool and fun way of cooking. I don't know if it's a good way to like food prep personally. Like, rather than using it as like a food prep, I actually think it's like a more of a fun way of cooking on the weekend. So I think if you're into this Hot Pocket vibe and this is the way that you want to make your food for the week, you could also just put a certain amount of protein of something in there, add a bit of cheese. Definitely put some sauce in there, because otherwise it's too dry, and then you can just put whatever in there and make a Hot Pocket of whatever flavors that you like. So I think my favorite one today was the Pizza Pocket, because I keep saying fucking Pizza Pocket through this whole video. Every time I talk about one of them, it's Pizza Pocket at the end. So I think the Pizza Pocket wins. It's on my mind. It did taste the best. It tasted good both times I made it, even though the first time I didn't make it well. With the pizza one, definitely be cautious with how much sauce you put in. Maybe it would also be good if you had more of like a thicker pizza sauce than a runny sauce. I mean, I don't think the sauce that I used was that runny, but something thicker, like going more towards like a tomato paste. I know that in Australia you can definitely get pizza sauce that is thicker. This would probably be better to use, just as a tip. Another tip, if you do decide to make these, is definitely, if you think that they're thin enough, make them thinner. Because one thing that I think that I fucked up with a few of them that probably would have made them better is if I had thinned them out more. So maybe rather than just putting them in your hands, if you can roll them out a little bit and then put the stuff in there, I think that this would be a bit better. But you also don't want to add too much flour, because if you have too much flour, then the tops don't stick together, which I also ran into that issue. Yeah, so I'm going to end the video there. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for watching. If you've tried any of these, or if you've experimented yourself, I would love to know how you go, if you were as successful as I was. Or also, if you have your own ones that work that you want to share, definitely drop it in the comment box below, because I think that we all have our own unique ways of cooking and could be interesting to try. I'm open to new ideas. So yeah, thanks for being here. Catch you next time.